This film is strictly for educational purposes only. OCO, my brothers and sisters, relatives, spiritual warriors, and freethinkers, I want to begin this segment with a question. What does your favorite actor or actress in the news media, along with American history, all have in common? Throughout this segment, I will be answering this question. And for starters, the news media consists of journalists who would then perform an act by reading from a written script live on camera. With this in mind, we can determine that this task is closely related to the duties of an actor or actress of a movie per se, all the way down to the individual being addressed by their stage name, disguised as their real name. This is why you will find popular news reporters making special guest appearances in various films, usually playing the role of a news anchor or maybe a meteorologist. This is also why various news channels would sequentially allow for their anchors to report, or rather repeat, the exact same information about the exact same topics verbatim.
I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about trouble and irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 So, what does this have in common with American history? In today's society, much of the information that has been presented throughout compulsory educational institutions have been written, reviewed, and then approved solely by the government to be deemed as facts uncritically, meaning no matter if the information presented is right or wrong. And it gets a lot deeper, because that means that someone not only controls what you know about history in general, but it also means that information about, let's say, the history of the United States, for example, will differ when it comes to what is known about the US and other countries throughout different parts of the world. In fact, during the year of 1948, at a time where the idea of the Out of Africa theory was currently in development for deployment in compulsory education, the United States Information and Educational Exchange Act was passed and made law by Congress on January 27, 1948. Under Title I, Section 2, it covers the objectives of this act, or H.R. 3342, by stating that, quote, "The Congress hereby declares that the objectives of this act are to enable the government of the United States to promote a better understanding of the United States and other countries, and to increase mutual understanding between the people of the United States and the people of other countries. Among the means to be used in achieving these objectives are 1. An information service to disseminate abroad information about the United States, its people, and policies promulgated by the Congress, the President, the Secretary of State, and other responsible officials of government having to do with matters affecting foreign affairs. What's very interesting to point out is that the word disseminate was used here, which means to spread or give out something, especially news, information, ideas, etc., to a lot of people, or to propagate. And then it goes on with number 2, stating that an educational exchange service to cooperate with other nations in A, the interchange of persons, knowledge and skills, B, the rendering of technical and other services, C, the interchange of developments in the field of education, the arts, and science, end quote. And then under Title II, Section 201, it details what this act means by the interchange of persons, knowledge, and skills, by stating, quote, the Secretary is authorized to provide for interchanges on a reciprocal basis between the United States and other countries of students, trainees, teachers, guest instructors, professors, and leaders in the field of specialized knowledge or skill, and shall wherever possible provide these interchanges by using the services of existing reputable agencies which are successfully engaged in such activity. The Secretary may provide for orientation courses and other appropriated services for such persons from other countries upon their arrival in the United States, and for such persons going to other countries from the United States. When any country fails or refuses to cooperate in such program on a basis of reciprocity, the Secretary shall terminate or limit such program with respect to such country to the extent he deems to be advisable in the interests of the United States, end quote. The term reciprocity is the practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefit, especially privileges granted by one country or organization to another. So in other words, this act details exactly who controls all generalized information domestically and internationally, and it also verifies that the information given to us throughout American school curriculums have been manipulated to the point where people can only subscribe to the information that we were taught by instructors or teachers that the U.S. government has hired in order to propagate this specified information to the public, without any room for questioning its accuracy or validity. Because under Title V, Section 501, it covers the general authorization of disseminating information about the United States abroad by stating that, quote, the Secretary is authorized, when he finds it appropriate, to provide for the preparation and dissemination abroad of information about the United States, its people, and its policies through press, publications, radio, motion pictures, and other information media, and through information centers and instructors abroad. Now, what's very important to note here is that this very act has been updated exactly 64 years later on May 10th, 2012. It is now known as the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012, or H.R. 5736. And this very section, 501, now reads, the Secretary and the Broadcasting Board of Governors are authorized to use funds appropriated or otherwise made available for public diplomacy information programs to provide for the preparation, dissemination, and use of information intended for foreign audiences abroad about the United States, its people, and its policies through press, publications, radio, motion pictures, the internet, and other information media, including social media, and through information centers, instructors, and other direct or indirect means of communication. So, this is an act of scattering and propagating misleading information like a seed for growth and permanence. They have now covered all bases of what information is systematically propagated to the public about America, domestically and internationally, but this time around, including the internet, along with social media and all other means of communication. This is why you will find that other countries throughout different continents around the world would have totally different information on topics along the lines of American culture, legacies, spiritualities, and even American history. For example, this is a clip of a documentary published by the History Channel. However, this particular documentary was broadcasted only to the Asian outlets of the History Channel, called History Asia, which are Hong Kong, Indonesia, Macau, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Taiwan, and Thailand.
Ever since the earliest days of oceanic exploration, sailors have witnessed strange sights.
Really, the awareness of the Bermuda Triangle started with Christopher Columbus being such an esoteric navigator and a well-respected sailor.
Now, hold up. Let's play that one more time.
Ever since the earliest days of oceanic exploration, sailors have witnessed strange sights.
Really, the awareness of the Bermuda Triangle started with Christopher Columbus being such an esoteric navigator and a well-respected sailor.
Now, from what you may recall, you were taught to believe that Christopher Columbus looks like this. And if you were to Google images of Christopher Columbus right now, he is depicted to look like this. But if you were to figure out a way to look up information that is presented in other countries, then he would look like this. And I gotta ask, how do you feel about Christopher Columbus being depicted as a Spanish explorer of a much darker hue of complexion? Leave your thoughts in the comments below and tell me what you think. And this is just one prime example of why your favorite actor or actress in the news media, along with American history, are all one and the same. Because if you can control the narrative of what a person is forced to learn about, then you can control the mindset of a person, allowing for strangers to take control of your thoughts. I'm just here to make you think.